Hello, I'm Mark Jeeves, and tonight I'm joined by possibly one of the busiest names in rock, who, as well as his own headline tour with his band, Mammoth WVH, has also supported the likes of Metallica, Alter Bridge, Def Leppard, and Motley Crue this year. Tonight, my guest is Wolfgang Van Halen, and from his brand new album, Mammoth II, this is another celebration at the end of the world. Hello and welcome to another edition of My Planet Rocks, the show where we get the stars in to talk about the music that they're listening to at the moment or they particularly love, and also what they're doing right now. And we're delighted to welcome an artist who has created, well, it's a real fan favourite and a favourite of ours here at Planet Rock as well, because one of the artists that we love to play so much at the moment is Mammoth WVH, and WVH, Wolfgang Van Halen, is our guest here today. Hello, Wolfgang. Nice to see you.
Thank you for having me.
The first Mammoth album was something that we played a lot on Planet Rock, and was so well received. You must have been very pleased with how that came across.
Yeah, it was. You never go into anything expecting anything really. At least when I write music and stuff, I just kind of do it for myself, and if it interests me and I enjoy it. But to see other people enjoy it just as much is a wonderful feeling.
And now we have the second album, Mammoth II. Tell me about the approach of writing and recording that. Was it just a straight continuation of the work that you'd done with the first album, or did you go about it in a different way?
It felt like an evolution, I think. With the first album, I was trying to figure out what the whole thing was. It took me over 3 years to kind of figure out who I was as my own artist, and if I could be a singer, and and all that. But then with this album, I think I came into it with a lot more confidence after touring for the last 2 years, and we also recorded it a lot quicker. It was over the course of 2.5 months instead of
3 years.
Instead of 3 years. So it was definitely
you did get quick.
Yeah,
you?
It was a different process for sure.
Now you've also taken the trouble to pick some great tunes for us to play this evening, and we're looking forward to hearing these, including. We're going to kick off right at the top of the alphabet with ACDC. You've given us a couple of choices, but I thought we'd go with Girls Got Rhythm. Tell me about your relationship with ACDC.
ACDC started, it was with me and my dad. That's actually where I learned how to play drums at first. He had a couple magazines on a table, and with one he had my right hand as if it was a hi-hat, another my left hand as if it was a snare drum. And he's like, if you use your foot and do the kick in between, if you do that, then you're playing Highway to Hell by AC/DC. And when he saw that I could do that, he was like, yes! And he got me a drum kit for my birthday. Right. So AC/DC has always been very close to my heart. That was one of the bands with my father that we enjoyed most.
You're listening to Planet Rock, and on My Planet Rocks this week, Wolfgang Van Halen is our guest, talking through some of his favourite songs, and also thinking about the new Mammoth album, which is out now, which is something that you are going to tour. We're very delighted to see that you're going to be out with Alter Bridge, and we're playing with Def Leppard and Motley Crue. What do those guys like to be working with?
I'm very excited about it. We've toured with Alter Bridge multiple times, and so honestly, I can't believe they still want us around. We've been with them so much, which is wonderful. But yeah, I had met some of the members of Def Leppard at the Taylor Hawkins tribute in Los Angeles, and they were very kind. So I'm very excited for those shows. That should be a very fun time.
Well, we mentioned Def Leppard, so let's take a Def Leppard track that you've chosen. You've picked Photograph of their back catalogue. Why have you picked this one, Wolfgang?
I just love the harmonies in it. I think it's very emblematic of the time period, and I'm just a big fan of good harmonies.
Def Leppard with Photograph there on My Planet Rocks, the choice of my guest tonight, Wolfgang Van Halen, who has a couple of his favourite Van Halen tracks to pick in just a bit. from the UK's perspective, we adopted your band pretty early on, yourself pretty early on, and have been big fans ever since. How did you find the UK the first time you came over here to play?
Oh man, I've always loved it over here. It's such a great appreciation for rock music, and I've always loved it here. It's been so wonderful every time I've come.
I'm guessing, I mean, I don't know, at 9 years old you were playing the drums, so your father bought you a drum kit. Did you spend much time out on the road with your father when you were younger? And so are you used to that whole kind of touring thing?
I would visit when I could, but no, not until I was 15 and in the band that I really understand the touring life, if you will.
Well, let's take you've chosen a couple of tracks from Van Halen, which would like to play. Actually, the first one is from the Fair Warning album, which is Hear About It Later. Tell me about this.
I've always loved this song very much. I think it's I just think it's a great riff. I love the intro with the flanger on the guitar. I just think it's a great example of my father's not only obvious incredible guitar playing, but songwriting and rhythm guitar playing as well.
You're listening to Planet Rock, and our guest on My Planet Rocks is Wolfgang Van Halen, here to talk about the current album, the Mammoth album. This is Mammoth II. Just out of interest, Mammoth, what was the inspiration for that?
That was actually an early name for Van Halen when it was a three-piece. It was my father was playing guitar and singing. It was my Uncle Alex on drums and a man named Mark Stone on the bass. And I've always felt that sort of kindred spirit sort of thing where, it's my band, I'm singing, and it was Dad's band, and he was singing and playing guitar. And I remember growing up and my dad telling me that. I was like, man, that Mammoth is such a cool band name. When I grow up, I'm going to call my band that. And here we are.
And here we are.
I think it's a great way of sort of, touching on my family legacy without, calling my band Van Halen 2 or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, musically, what you've managed to do is do that. You've very much got your own identity. And is that something that took a while? I know you took 3 years for the first album, but did you know when you went into that what your musical identity was?
Yeah, I think with the first album, that really was the most of the heavy lifting to accomplish that first album, was figuring out who I was as my own artist, what my sound was, and how that differentiated me from not only everyone else, but also my family lineage at the same time. Yeah. Do I have something to offer that's unique? That's why I think going into the second album, I was able to test the bounds of that. I think going into it, knowing what that was, and fresh off of touring for the last 2 years, I was able to accomplish things that I didn't think I could on the first album. Vocally, guitar playing, drums, overall, just that confidence, I think, helped me.
Well, we've talked about your drumming already. You've picked a track by The Police. You've picked Next to You. Stuart Copeland, extraordinary drummer. Was he an influence?
Yeah, Stuart Copeland's one of my favorite drummers, and this is one of my favorite Police songs, so I thought it was the perfect choice.
This is Planet Rock. You're with Mark on My Planet Rocks, talking to Wolfgang Van Halen here about some of the tracks that he would like to play for us, and also about the new album, which is out now. And thinking about, I know you've only just got a new record out, and you're going to be playing it. When you're on stage and you're having to pick a set list from your current albums, from your 2 albums that you've done, how do you go about that? How do you choose the tracks to play? What's your process?
More often than not, we pick the songs that are most fun to play. But what's wonderful about this modern age is that you can go onto all your streaming services and you can see what songs people are listening to the most. My Uncle Patrick and I, he's a part of the team, we have a lot of fun looking at the data and figuring out what scientifically is the best in terms of set lists. And it's like, well, over here they really like this song, so let's put that in the set over here. But overall, you look at, I think moving forward into this next album cycle, the challenge is to figure out what songs to keep from the first album and what songs to to push away to welcome in the new material. So we're still having trouble with that. We'll figure it out, but we'll see.
You haven't got long to figure it out. Let's be.
It's a fun process, though.
Let's go with your second Van Halen track, because I'm interested in this. Unlawful Carnal Knowledge is the album. Judgment Day is a great track, which doesn't get played on the radio too often, so I'm pleased to be playing this. Tell me why you chose this.
I think it's one of the best Hagar-era Van Halen songs, and I think, there's just this never-ending, exhausting argument between Van Halen fans who are like, nah, this is it. This is better. This is better. And I'd argue any fan of the early era to tell me that this song is bad. Because this song is heavy as hell, and it's killer, and it's amazing, and I think it's a wonderful example of how my father was able to inject more melody into his songwriting, and while maintaining such a heavy, aggressive vibe. I love this song.
Van Halen on Planet Rock. Judgment Day, as chosen by Wolfgang Van Halen, who's our special guest today. Looking through some of the tracks that he loves the most. You mentioned the melody in that, and melody's very important when you listen through the both Mammoth albums now to you. Is that where you start when you're writing a song?
No, usually an idea usually starts with something on the guitar, and then that sort of builds from a demo. But when it comes to writing vocals, melody is what I usually start with, because I think that's the most important. I think a lot of great songwriters usually do that. I think with, like, for example, Paul McCartney with Yesterday, he sang Scrambled Eggs when he didn't have the lyrics yet. And I think that is that shows how important melody is first, because that is the thing that's on top of everything. And it's what most... doing my best not to like insult non-musicians, but I think the layman sort of music listener tends to focus on vocals and the melody, and maybe not the tone of the guitar or the kick drum rhythm and stuff like that. So first and foremost, melody is very important, and it's very important to me.
When it came to finding your own voice as a singer, what was the moment where you went, okay, I can probably do this? Did you have training, or did you try it naturally? How did it go? It
sort of naturally happened. I had been singing for my entirety of working with Van Halen, so I think that was sort of the weightlifting my voice needed to get that confidence, I guess. And but it really took Elvis Basquette, my producer, to give me that confidence to be like, you're not just a background singer. You can sing lead on this. So it's all thanks to him, basically.
He sounds like a great guy. He sounds like someone. How did you meet him?
I met him through my friend Mark Tremonti. I was in his band for a little while, and when we recorded an album with him, Elvis was the producer, and we hit it off immediately. And I knew exactly who I wanted to work on my music with when I met him.
Well, that's great, isn't it? It's great when you know that it's just the right relationship. You mentioned earlier in the show that you were at the Taylor Hawkins tribute in Los Angeles, and you have picked a Foo Fighters track here. Tell me about this. The Under You is the tune.
Yeah, this is their newest album, and I'm just I think it's sort of obvious the Foo Fighters inspiration when it comes to my music. Sort of Dave Grohl is one of my biggest heroes when it comes to how Mammoth started and how everything, because he sort of paved the way for me wanting to record an album with me playing everything like he did with the very first Foo Fighters album. So I thought it'd be wonderful to play this wonderful new song, because I think it's a great song.
That's the Foo Fighters on Planet Rock, on My Planet Rocks, as chosen by Wolfgang Van Halen, who's our guest here today on My Planet Rocks. That's Under You. Do you know Dave well?
Not well. I mean, we're friendly, obviously, from meeting at the time and jamming for a bit of time. But yeah, we text each other now and then, and he's every bit as what everybody says he is, which is the most wonderful man in the music business. He's a very friendly, amazing person.
Yeah, and stunning, as you say, stunning musician and great. When you think of your, you taking control of the whole album. Of course, he did that with the Foo Fighters in their first album. He was a drummer, started out as a drummer. You started as a drummer. There's quite a lot of similarities, actually.
Yeah, definitely. He's a very big inspiration.
Great stuff. And so we're going to see you. We've got the record, which is great. So that's we're looking forward to playing more tracks from that on Planet Rock. We've also got the tour dates coming up. And then after that, are you a planner? Do you have a plan for album 3? Do you have a plan for what happens next?
Not exactly. I think there's a lot to focus right now for the next 18 months or so, at least when the album, with all the touring, and especially next year is going to be filled with a lot of touring. So basically right now is just to try and prepare for the endless amount of touring, which is very exciting. It's good to be busy. But I think when it's time to look at Mammoth 3, if you will, I'll be ready. But I think for now, I'm just kind of always writing ideas and looking towards the future.
And where's home when you do actually get home?
It's California, Los Angeles.
Okay. With a fiancé that you've mentioned already?
Yes. We will be getting married on the little bit of off time I have this year in October.
Oh, in October. Oh, fantastic. And are you getting married in California?
Yes. That
will be wonderful. And I bet you're looking forward to that. And I bet she's looking forward to having a bit of you time as well. It's because it's tough. It's tough for a touring musician, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. It's not everything everyone makes it out to be.
Well, listen, thank you so much for coming in and talking with us. We've got one more track to play, which we're going to play, which is by Alice in Chains, Check My Brain. Tell us why you picked this.
I love this song. I think my love of Alice in Chains is very obvious through some of my music, and I love their use of sort of dissonant harmony. Like I said, I love harmonies. But what I love most about this song is that, they had kind of went away for a while, and then they got back together and they got going with this album, Black Gives Way to Blue. And I just thought it was such an unbelievable way to kick the door down, to show that not only do they still have it, but they're at the top of their game. So this song, I love this song.
Alice in Chains and Check My Brain, the final choice of tonight's guest, Wolfgang Van Halen, on My Planet Rocks. And don't forget, his brand new album, Mammoth II, is out now.